Welcome back, class. So what you've probably realised from your research is that there are 4 key skill areas for level designers. These are design, technical, communication and conceptual, but we'll unpack some of the common themes after we've looked through some example job vacancies. So the first in our example vacancies is the role of a junior level designer at Ubisoft. Their overview is that you will need to assist in the creation of games content that delivers a rewarding and exciting experience for the player with support from more experienced designers. Your responsibilities are to implement pre-existing designs with in-house visual scripting tools and editing software, to create original and fun ideas and implement them, to communicate the results of any prototypes and their designs to other disciplines in order to validate your design intentions and that they fit with the creative vision of the game, to identify requirements of any designs and communicate these to the appropriate teams in order the required content is created, integrate the content produced by other disciplines for level designs into the game's engine, to develop an understanding of best practices, production pipelines and workflows, implement player feedback, locate bugs, track and update the progress of day-to-day tasks, to conduct gameplay evaluations of work, providing feedback and suggestions to fine-tune and improve the game, to identify any additional programming requirements, and to support the lead level designer in any ad hoc tests or duties. The skills and knowledge that you need in order to conduct this role are a passion for games and a keen interest in gameplay creation. You've probably seen a passion for games in almost all of the roles that you've been looking for so far. Excellent communication skills and organizational abilities. You need experience of level editing and scripting tools. Good communication skills, both written and verbal. Exposure to industry games engines and production pipelines. Good organizational abilities. Creative flair, the ability to work under pressure. Enthusiasm for ongoing learning and self-development. The relevant experience for this was up to 1 year experience or an internship or placement and a bachelor's degree in games design. But in all these examples today, let's just completely ignore the experience. So the next in our example job vacancies is the job of a level designer at Ubisoft. So the overview for this job role was to create and implement design elements into the game whilst working in a collaborative, multidisciplinary environment. Your responsibilities include designing and implementing game levels that meet the style, quality standards and timelines of the project, to participate in the creation, documentation and tuning of level design gameplay elements according to the design and creative visions, to apply a notion of appropriate difficulty, pacing and flow within games levels, and how to leverage emotional reaction from players through the designs. You'll be able to understand that a bit more when you start engaging with the theory. To assist in the testing of new features and tools developed by the technical level design team and provide them with relevant critical feedback. To understand and apply guidelines for creating original level layouts within the game to support specific gameplay rules or playstyles. Again, that's down to theory and knowing your theory. To contribute to the creation of planning schedules, to adhere to quality benchmarks and best practices in level design content, to understand rational level design theory, contribute to the creation of RLD guidelines and implement content accordingly, participating in regular reviews of level design content with the level design team, to communicate vertically and horizontally within the team, and to support the lead level designer with ad hoc tasks and duties. The skills and knowledge for the level designer position, they're looking for a good knowledge of scripting languages such as Python, Lua, etc. Understand how to use level design tools and software. Have a good knowledge of Microsoft Office Suite, so that comes to your communication. Have a basic understanding of 2D and 3D design tools such as SketchUp, Maya, 3ds Max, Photoshop. That relates to your prototyping ability. Have a good knowledge of an editor such as Unreal Engine. Be able to have solid communication and interpersonal skills, ability to clearly express and present ideas, solid analytical and problem solving, organizational skills, and understanding of consumer needs and market trends. So the next example that I've brought up for you is a gameplay designer at CD Projekt Red. So their overview for the job role is that CD Projekt Red is looking for a talented gameplay designer who will join their Warsaw or Krakow team in creating and tuning the rules of gameplay within our project. This person will work closely with our gameplay programmers on prototyping and implementing stages, and will ensure that the gameplay functionality, the combat systems, as well as the overall gameplay experience are carried through to completion in the highest possible quality. Your responsibilities, if you were working at to apply for CD Projekt Red, are to design game mechanics and combat choreography, implement game mechanisms using our proprietary game engine and scripting tools, design and implement AI elements, design enemy spawn points, arrangements, as well as collectible distribution and economics, create design documentation and make sure it's up to date, follow and maintain pipelines and technical requirements, be in constant cooperation with programmers, quest designers, and animators. So the required skills and experience for this job, we'll gloss over the 3 years experience, and we'll move on to experience with games editors and game design tools. Have previous experience in Flash design or UI design, as well as experience in making or modding games. Have a basic programming skills in chosen programming or scripting language. Have a good knowledge of the English language. Be able to think analytically and creatively. Have extensive knowledge of video games in the industry. Have excellent communication skills. And we'll skip over the AAA RPG title because we won't have that. And be in constant cooperation with programmers, quest designers, and animators. The next example role that we're going to look at is a more technical role. This is for gameplay designer technical at Amplitude. So their overview is that Amplitude is a team of experienced video game lovers and developers with a single goal: to create the best strategy games with players' help. They're looking for a highly technical game designer to assist with the conception of gameplay mechanics for a 4X game, under the supervision of the creative director and senior designer. Your main responsibilities will include designing gameplay mechanics and systems, proactively anticipate issues and propose solutions, to work on refining the game's balance in several areas, factions, technology, progression, etc., to iterate and adjust gameplay experiences, produce and maintain detailed game design documentation, and collaborate with programmers, artists, and other members of the design team. Your required experience and skills are to be fully fluent or native in English, have a degree in the relevant field, experience in the games industry or a relevant position, have a strong background in systems design, have working knowledge of algorithm, be passionate about strategy games, have capacity to excel in the entire spectrum of game design tasks, strong autonomy, attention to detail and organizational skills, excellent ability to work effectively within a team, have strong creative skills and ability to form an informed critical judgment on gameplay systems, and as bonuses they're looking for C# knowledge, keen on 4X, and working knowledge of French. So our next example vacancy is at Crytek, and this is a senior systems designer. So we're again going more into the more technical style roles. So Crytek's looking for passionate and experienced senior system designer who can communicate well between programmers and artists to design and implement complex cutting-edge player and or AI systems for games. Candidates must be proficient in using visual scripting to create high-quality gameplay experiences. Your responsibilities are to design and implement complex player and or AI systems using visual scripting tools, design, create and maintain asset databases for the above systems using CryEngine, to iterate on behaviors and system functionality based on feedback, to contribute creative design ideas to the project, balance and adjust systems to create fun gameplay, work with other departments, be a technical knowledge source for other members of the development team, to contribute tool and workflow improvement ideas, and to work closely with QA to debug systems. The requirements for the senior role are 4+ years of experience, because obviously it's a senior position, to have excellent technical skills, strong scripting ability, extensive experience using visual scripting languages such as Flowgraph or Blueprints, have excellent working knowledge with games engines, preferably CryEngine, because this is Crytek, have extensive knowledge of the principles of game design and theory, have experience in creating player and AI systems, a strong documentation ability, to be a good team player, and relocation is another thing that they're looking for requirement. The pluses for this role are to have strong math skills, have programming ability, for instance C++ knowledge, have knowledge of behavior trees, and multiplayer systems design and balancing experience. So if we return to our 4 skill areas and unpack some of the learnings from our research into level design related job roles, we get something that looks like this. So in design, we can kind of pick out, so some of the key areas that we can pick out are functional visual skills, so be able to thumbnail or storyboard, to be able to graybox using Maya, 3ds Max, etc. And be able to prototype or wireframe using tools such as Balsamiq or mockups. From a more technical aspect, they look for programming or scripting ability in C#, C++, JavaScript, Lua, etc. Most of them seem to require visual scripting knowledge, for instance Blueprints. You also have to have knowledge of games engines such as Unreal Engine, Unity, Lumberyard, etc. All of these roles look for strong communication, so in here we can think about visualizations such as digital maps, to be able to communicate level flow using flowcharts or event diagrams, and also creating and maintaining documentation in general. From a conceptual point of view, it's more sort of user-centered design, user experience design and playtesting. You need to know your level design and game design theory. You need to have an understanding of spatial, visual, architectural, narrative design theories. And also be able to teach players through tutorial design and through clever level design. To help you improve your skills in conceptual, design, technical and communication, for conceptual, you should be engaging with books. We have a reading list on My Learning Space, and I highly recommend that you engage with these books. They will arm you with the theory that you require for your final portfolio. You should have a look at developer sites such as Gamasutra. These have games postmortems from the developers themselves available for you to read. There are also loads of videos online. There's the GDC videos and GDC Vault that's all available on YouTube, and there's also other video lectures online and available for you. For your design skills, you should download and use software such as Maya, Photoshop, Illustrator. An in-depth knowledge is not required, but a sort of foundational level knowledge is highly sought after when it comes to applying for level design roles. There are plenty of tutorials that are built into the software, and there's also access to Pluralsight available for you. To improve your technical skills, you should engage with software, download and use games engines daily, for instance Unreal Engine 4, Unity or Lumberyard. We work exclusively with Unreal Engine 4 for this class. You can work through books, tutorials, videos on scripting, for instance C#, or if you're wanting to program in Unreal Engine, it's C++. Again, if you're wanting tutorials for these, there are engine tutorials online. We have the tutorials on the My Learning Space that will give you a foundational knowledge of these games engines, and also there's Pluralsight. In terms of developing your communication skills, engage with software such as Microsoft Office, Google Docs, and have a sort of foundational knowledge of how these work. Actively seek out and pick up skills in visualization and wireframing tools. These are especially useful in the sort of mobile and free-to-play sphere, so things like Mockup, Visio, These are all incredibly useful tools for wireframing a game experience. And one of the sort of main and simple ones is just practice writing concisely and clearly. So, game design is a profession. Your role is not simply that of an ideas person, a storyteller, or a creator of environments. Whilst your role involves all of these elements, as a level designer your job is much more involved. As a profession, you need to demonstrate your broader technical, conceptual and communication skills, including specific knowledge of appropriate software and scripting languages. Employers will be looking for evidence of this broad skill set in your portfolios, in interviews, and in design tests as a minimum threshold for employment into junior roles. That's right, prepare to be tested. Your qualifications and portfolio alone won't get you the job. For design roles, you should anticipate being tested. This can include technical and software tests prior to the offer of an interview. For instance, create a scripted map in Unreal Engine 4. This may also include technical software tests on site following an interview. In addition, interviews are likely to present design tests that will critique your conceptual knowledge and abilities as a designer. So, on the screen right now is a classic example of a test, which is the whiteboard test. And here this is an example of someone that has been tasked to sketch out a first-person multiplayer level and explain it. On the far left-hand side, you have the top-down sketch from a beginner. It is an overcomplicated, structureless mess, and they've probably never tried to build this sort of level in a level editor tool. There is no clear flow or differentiation. There's no attempt to break lines of sight, and no real discernible pattern. The intermediate one, right next to it, understands design theory but applies it very literally. It's a very boxy floor plan that unimaginatively breaks the line of sight and results in a room hallway room syndrome. Maybe you're an avid modder or a student with a lot of talent and potential, but you still need a lot more practice. The advanced level here, it's simpler, it's more memorable in terms of its floor plan. It makes good use of patterns, has a good mix of narrow and open differentiation. There's a nice mix of height and elevation with the inclusion of stairs. But it has a very matchy 45-degree bends and feels a lot like a video game level. Although many designers and games would never really care about that. On the far right hand side is an example of a more sort of expert level design. This meaningfully breaks from the grid. It shows clear research of real life buildings. It imbues spatial differentiation with cultural differentiation. It tells a story. It makes careful use of symmetry and asymmetry. And still, it's relatively simple and memorable and breaks the line of sight. It's still a video game level, but it has non-abstract internal logic to it. So at this point, I'm going to give you task 2. So we are going to do a self-assessment. So using the criteria shown on the right, I would like you to self-assess your own abilities. So the competencies that I've listed here are your abilities with programming and scripting, whether it's with C++, C#, Blueprints, etc. Your competency at development, games development, so mainly engine knowledge, Unreal Engine 4 and Unity. To assess your prototyping knowledge, so your ability with Maya or other pre-visualization tools. And to assess your communication, so your competency with documentation and office tools. So I'd like you to rank each one of these competencies with either you're a beginner with little to no previous experience, you have basic understanding, so you have some experience but limited confidence, you are competent at it, so you have some confidence and ability in this area. Are you intermediate? So you're confident that you could use this skill on a project without assistance. Or do you have an advanced level of knowledge, which is a high level of confidence and experience, having used this skill independently and without assistance on previous projects? Please be honest. So I'm expecting most of you to be either beginner, basic, competent, intermediate. If you're at the advanced stage at this point, that's great. but I totally don't expect you to be there right now. So, as a follow-up to this, I'd like you to begin to develop your own personal development plan. Your PDP goal should be to develop your skills, knowledge and experience sufficiently so that you can confidently apply for a junior or intern level design and related role during the second semester of your 4th year. So that's roughly 2 years of personal development, so you'll need to use this time wisely in order to fully develop your skills and abilities in all the required areas. So this module is the start and not the conclusion of your journey towards professional level competency in level design. Some of you may take the foundation of your work in this module to help you develop a project in your 3rd year for DES 311. So what I would like you to do is to go and do your self-assessment, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.